knows how much of a TNA fan I am. But being reported by Eric Mutter out of Wrestling Inc. and PW Insider as well. It'll be a week since Scott D'Amore was fired from his position as president of TNA Wrestling, and the news continues to sort of come in regarding the move. While the official reason for D'Amore's departure, allegedly, from the promotion remains unclear, one thing that emerged is that the longtime TNA executive wasn't looking to leave the promotion anytime soon when TNA's parent company, Anthem, let him go. Fightful is reporting that despite the shocking nature of D'Amore's departure, D'Amore himself knew his days were numbered, as Anthem had been preparing to fire him a month before he was let go. D'Amore remained steadfast in trying to remain with the promotion, even trying to buy the company outright from Anthem, while Anthem was steadfast in wanting to move on, and also while presenting the parting of the ways as a mutual departure, something that D'Amore resisted. Even as his departure became more and more likely, D'Amore maintained correspondence with Anthem and helped incoming president Anthony Ciccone in transition to the role. Despite that, though, D'Amore never ever gave up on trying to remain with TNA, even so much as trying to buy them outright. Regarding reports that D'Amore and Anthem were clashing over TNA's budget, D'Amore was attempting to sign, for example, Braun Strowman in 2021, and that fell on deaf ears, according to reports. It was confirmed that TNA and Strowman had talks, but that wasn't for seven figures as previously believed. Meanwhile, TNA's budget and production did increase. Those in Anthem have attributed to software upgrades more than anything. The promotion is expected to run the same schedule as they did in 2023, with only some costs being reduced compared to last year. I mean, the rumor that D'Amore was trying to get a letter of intent to buy TNA outright, I think, was a smart move by him. Obviously, that fell through. We know that D'Amore, for some time, it's also being reported by some actual credible people like Wade Keller, that he was trying to get Anthem to spend a little bit more money. Their gates were okay. They were working in smaller arenas, 5,000, 6,000 seat arenas. And believe it or not, they're actually filling 5,000 seat arenas, unlike other companies that have a billionaire owning it.
No way.
I know, right? And it seemed like that was the constant sort of point of contention between the Anthem executive board and D'Amore. D'Amore felt that now was the time with increased visibility. The traffic was a little bit better last year on Access TV, even though that's still not a readily accessible channel. I mean, I get it on my streaming service on Sling, but it's not on Time Warner Cable. It's not on Fios. It's not on Comcast. I mean, those are relatively, usual cable companies that we hear of. Here in New Jersey, you can't find Access anywhere on there. You can find it on AT&T. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Sling. You can't find it on like Verizon or like Cablevision. And that's a problem. Despite that, the numbers were looking good for TNA, and D'Amore felt that now was the time to put a little bit more money into the company. Anthem didn't see it that way. And again, sooner or later, the executive board's going to win that fight, and D'Amore didn't. But D'Amore's a hell of a creative talent. We've seen what he's been doing with TNA for years now. And again, I think you said it before, Patrick, if TNA was able to be on a more mainstream channel, they would, first of all, they'd have better wrestling than AEW. That's not even debatable. Absolutely. And they'd have better storytelling. And their production is pretty good. Like their vignettes and their like backstage segments, like if you're standing like behind, if you're standing in the hallway or something, or you're like in the green room, like those vignettes are better than anything Tony Khan produces when they're like, I don't know, in the garage. It's mind-boggling to me how people don't see that. But yeah, a big loss for TNA. And I mean, again, only 1 week.
I heard something about this, right?
Sure.
And I had read something about this, but the source that it came from is a little suspicious and has been known to kind of cause a bit of a shitstorm sometimes for no reason. But Nick Hausman of Wrestling Inc., the famous Nick Hausman who does improv, right, with Scott Colton, the same Nick Hausman that doesn't like Chris Jericho, had mentioned that there was apparently some type of issue to kind of under the same grounds of a Vince McMahon type of scenario, a little sexual misconduct type of deal that went on while he was there with him and Don Callis, which is what led to Don Callis leaving his job. Because wasn't Don Callis head of creative or something like that? Wasn't Don Callis in a good spot?
He was an EVP. Yeah, he was office. Yeah, he was office for a while. Yeah,
so Hausman put this on there, and people, of course, asked him, well, hey, do you have a credible source? And Hausman responded with, the victims will say what they need to say when they're ready to. But apparently there was something that was put into motion that kind of pushed those guys out of there. Now, whether that's true or not remains to be seen, but definitely, one of the stories that's making its way, around the internet in regards to Scott D'Amore. But getting back to what you were talking about TNA and just the impact in general as opposed to AEW, yeah, no shit. That's what happens when you have fucking wrestling people working on a wrestling show. Wow, big fucking surprise. Instead of a guy who's snorting drywall, or actually, no, I don't think he's snorting drywall. I think he's snorting some good Bolivian Bam Bam. But I think that's what he's putting up his nose. And the fucker doesn't know anything about wrestling. He's not a wrestling person.
Mind you, he came out today on Twitter. And mind you, today on Twitter, he came out saying, quote, AEW is as good as it's ever been right now. I'm like, whoa, that's some good cocaine. Like, this is Scarface, Alejandro Sosa in Rancho Chuchabomba in Bolivia. Like, yo, clase shit. Okay, that's what you gotta be sorting that good shit.
I'll be honest, dude. I feel like he's saying what he's got to say, as the owner of a company. But I mean, there's just a lot about the company that's trending downward, and it's been trending downward for a very long time. And Tony Khan is interesting to me, because Tony Khan to me is what would happen if all of those whiny internet marks that don't know shit about booking, that never worked a day in their life in the business, decided to become bookers and book a wrestling TV show. It would be like the way Tony Khan's booking AEW. That's exactly what it would be like. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens when you have somebody who doesn't know the wrestling business booking the fucking wrestling business. It's not that difficult to understand. If you're going to get spinal surgery, I think you want a spinal surgeon instead of the guy who's watched ER a bunch of times. Just saying. Yeah. Fernando Clooney over here. I don't want him fucking operating on my spine. I want a spinal fucking surgeon. You know what I mean? Oh man. But yeah, TNA is just a lot better, man. They're just a lot better. They've been a lot better. Look, they do their hokey shit too. Let's not front. They do their hokey shit, but their hokey shit is a lot better than AEW doing their hokey shit.
By the way, shout out to Mr. Brown. There was some news I was not aware of about the Rock and Roll Express winning the coveted World Tag Team titles recently. I did not see that. So shout out to Mr. Brown.
What?
Apparently, the Rock and Roll Express recently won the NWA World Tag Team titles they've won before. So some interesting history there repeating itself with the Rock and Roll Express getting those tags again. And they, you look back at the lineage of those titles. I mean, you got some historic teams, right? From obviously the Road Warriors, Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff, obviously the Midnight Express. Without a doubt, the Horsemen, the Powers of Pain. I mean, that's really interesting company to be in. So Rock and Roll Express visiting 40 years ago, essentially, and regaining the coveted NWA World Tag Team title. So, Mr. Brown, shout out to you, brother.
Don't forget the new Midnight Express, Bombastic Bob and Bodacious Bart.
That's right. That's right. They
were NWA World Tag Team champs.
That's right. I mean, that's a Midnight Express.
La Rebellion. I think it's fucking what's his name? Mecha Wolf and somebody else. This Puerto Rican wrestler.
That's the team I'd like to forget, that 98 Midnight Express. But anyway.
Stick Bob and Bodacious Bart.
But yeah, you know what? It's interesting about Scott D'Amore, and we'll see where he ends up. He's a hell of a wrestling talent in the sense of creative and presentation. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'd be shocked. Listen, Tony Khan, if you want someone with wrestling knowledge and a wrestling IQ that's clearly superior to yours, bite the bullet and hire Scott D'Amore. I mean, it can't be worse than some of the other people you've hired. Okay. So,
yeah.